Hello, everyone. Hi, Happy New Year. So, on today's segment on Let's Talk About It Now, the Fitness Fairy, of course, America's not here with me. I'm home in New Jersey. I wanted to dedicate this coming year, 2020, to my beautiful brother, who's no longer with us. That's us when we were managing. Well, I was working at West Hall. He was one of the managers there. His name was Alphonso Bonner. He was my little baby. When our mother had children, she was always working, so she gave us, which a lot of parents had to do back in the day, gave us the responsibility of raising one of our siblings, to take care of them, make sure they were okay and got fed, and while she was out working. So Alfonso was my baby. So again, this is Al. He was such a beautiful person and a beautiful spirit. He was very athletic. He was very bright, but our mother passed away very young, when he was very young, and she was very young, and I don't think most people know his story, and I want for people who have family members, and they don't know what happened. They're just here and then they're gone, and then there's a lot of rumor and speculation. Again, this is Let's Talk About It Now, our channel that deals with family trauma, childhood trauma, and actually getting some answers and getting solutions and dealing with reality of truth and speaking truth. And I'm pretty sure Alfonso would want me to speak his truth. So my beautiful brother, my little baby, started to feel not so great even when he was a young boy. And when you're young, you can mask it with athletics, and he got into martial arts. He was an amazing singer, amazing dancer. He worked with my brother, my spiritual brother, Freddie Icy, of Freddie Icy Dance Group in Slovakia when we moved out there. Was just full of life and energy, but I always noticed a sadness in him that I couldn't figure out what this sadness was, an emptiness that he couldn't explain to people. And I would send him clothes for high school, and he really appreciated, because he got best dressed, and he loved to dress. He loved clothes, and he loved deep conversations about life and living, and how to live, and how God would want us to live. So we were together in the late 90s. We actually ended up going to Slovakia and working together. He ended up staying there. I can't get into those details because it would be too long for this tape. But what I wanted to address is what happened with Al. And I think a lot of people, again, this is Al, a lot of people in the family are speculate, like, what happened to Al? Well, Al started to experience what some of our family members and friends start to experience in college: clinical depression. My family suffers with clinical depression. And no one really talks about it because they don't know what it is. Black people don't know what clinical depression is. But, white people literally just recently, in the last 20 years, started saying these things really exist. So it's a chemical imbalance in the body that that brings on this feeling of nothingness, emptiness. No matter what you do, what you accomplish, you feel empty. So Alfonso had verbalized this to me for many years, especially when he went off to college. He got super depressed in college and ended up having to leave. And that's when he came to New York to work in the restaurant that we owned at that time with my fiance at that time, Howard Levine. And we did quite well with the restaurant. But we wanted to go on and go to Europe and work and go into the entertainment business, which we did. But I noticed something in Alfonso, something that wasn't right. It wasn't bad. It was just, he just seemed a little lost. And I want to tell his story because I want for people to pay attention to your family members, pay attention to your close friends or your children. When you see that they're having moments that last for very long periods of time where they're not functioning on the level that you know they can function on, and they're speaking in ways that seem like out of sorts. So when he was managing Webster Hall, there was a party where there was an incident at a party that someone there got into trouble, and it affected him a lot. It really spiraled him down into this deep depression that he just couldn't get out of. But I noticed some changes in him as well, and those changes started to manifest itself in other ways. If I don't know if you've ever watched the movie A Beautiful Mind, but if you haven't watched A Beautiful Mind, it was similar to that. And we started to just talk about it more and take him to regular doctors, try to figure out what's wrong, and finally took him to a therapist. And eventually he ended up going into treatment for almost 2 years at St. Vincent's when that was open. And he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder that was quite severe with mild schizophrenia. And when I spoke to the doctors about everything that he had gone through as a child, mother passing away, some trauma within the family, and the doctors explained to me that childhood trauma affects an adult very badly if not treated. Childhood trauma can cause, if you have the genetic traits of clinical depression, bipolar, schizophrenia in your family, it brings it on subtly, or it can stay dormant, but trauma will bring this on quickly. And also, if you have this genetic trait in your family, something else that was explained to me, that long-term marijuana usage also keeps you in a holistic state, heightened state, or a state that's not on the ground, let's put it that way. So I just urge families to kind of check their genetic backgrounds and talk to family members and see what they're dealing with. Don't just mask it with, oh, they're just funny, or we don't really know. I think when we speak the truth, things get dealt with. When we don't speak the truth, it's always this open question. So Al went to live with a friend, one of our mentors, and he was a manager at Webster Hall. He owned a club up in the Hamptons and gas station. He managed the gas station for about a year, but he didn't like the way the medication made him feel. So he went off the medication, basically. And in doing that, of course, all of these things, these thoughts that he doesn't want to think, he doesn't want to do, starts to come back. Because that's part of the illness, is that you're out of control. You just have thought patterns that don't serve you, don't make any sense. And when you do that, you end up, collecting people in your life that aren't good for you. And reportedly, he was killed in a car accident, unfortunately, with, I believe, another woman and possibly someone else. I'll get more details later on in the year when I can handle it better. I handle stress differently from a lot of people. I literally just forget anything ever happened. That's how I cope, and I deal with it when I can deal with it. I'll put it in a pocket and I go pick it up later. And I know that seems kind of weird, but again, that's what this channel is about, all the weirdness that is us. But this year coming up, 2022, it's going to be a spectacular year. I want to dedicate this year to my children and to progress in our business and in our lives, and to my brother Alphonso, who was one of the biggest loves of my life. And I miss him every day. And I don't speak of him often because it's very sad for me. So I don't handle sadness well. I just smile a lot and just kind of like, okay, so that's the way I handle sad. I just smile. Or stress, I just laugh. And that's the way I deal with it. But I just wanted people to know how brilliant he was, how much he was loved and how much I miss him every day. And if you dealing with a family member that has issues similar to this, like you can't figure out what's going on with them, or they're acting strong or strange, or maybe they're drinking too much, or doing drugs. This is one of the symptoms of a mental disorder, that they're trying to get some control and they can't, so they're self-medicating. And this is one of the things that happens quite often, and people just let go because they can't deal with it. But again, this channel is designed to help family and friends kind of cope with things that they just can't cope with alone, you know. Hopefully, as I grow the channel, I will attach some links to some self-help gurus. I have one girlfriend that you can actually do sessions on the phone with her. I'll include her phone number, her information in the description below, or her website, so you can reach out to her directly. So again, if you have a family member that's feeling overwhelming sense of emptiness and nothingness, it could be clinical depression. It's best to get a professional diagnosis. I'm not a therapist. I am just a life coach, trying my best to identify problems in families early on so you can seek treatment and get help early on, so people will stay around forever until they're 100 years old. That's what we want to see. Our family living to 100. And mental illness gone untreated and other things gone untreated will shorten your life, you know, shorten the lifespan through accidents or just from not taking care of. So again, Happy New Year. This year I dedicate to my beautiful brother, Alphonso, who I love so much. Think about him every day, and I'm sure he's watching over me, and I am thinking and watching over him. God bless you. Stay well. May this coming year bring you peace, joy, happiness, and lots of money. Kisses. Bye-bye.